Hello and welcome. My name is Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. Today we're going to continue our videos on the Cricut AutoPress and we're going to talk about creating multiple projects all at one time with the Cricut AutoPress. Does it save us time? How do I like it? Let's find out. Now this video is sponsored by Cricut, however all projects and opinions are my own. What am I going to make today? So I wanted to do something that I would normally do with my Cricut machine and an Easy Press is what I would normally use, but I'm going to use the AutoPress today instead. For me, when I make multiple projects, most often I do it for something like a fundraiser. So I'm going to do a bunch of items for a fundraiser today. I'm going to do a stack of shirts, some tote bags, some coasters, some can koozies, all with a tailgate theme for a football fundraiser. I'm going to use my Explore 3 today because when I'm making multiple shirts with all of that iron-on, I love to use the Smart Iron-On and my Explore 3 so that I can cut all those pieces at once in one long roll and I don't have to keep changing out mats. So I'm going to grab my Explore 3, cut all of my iron-on and infusible ink. So I'm going to use infusible ink for the coasters. So I'm going to cut all of that with my Explore 3, weed it, and then I'm going to press everything all at once with the AutoPress. Now for you, you may be creating multiple projects for your small business, fundraisers like I am, volunteer stuff, whatever the application is, you might want to create an entire stack of shirts, several different tote bags with layered iron-on, coasters, a few different sets, maybe tons of gift ideas for the holidays. Whatever those reasons are, hopefully you can get some snippets from this video of how the AutoPress might help in those situations. And as always, if you've seen any of my AutoPress videos, you will know that I'm doing a whole series of videos on the AutoPress. So what have I done so far? I did one video with the AutoPress using a variety of iron-on projects so we could see what blanks work with the AutoPress and which maybe don't. I did another video with the AutoPress and sublimation so I could test whether the AutoPress works with sublimation and again, which blanks work and which don't. And then my very first video was an unboxing of the AutoPress and an overview of how it works. So if you missed any of those three, be sure to go back, watch those videos, and catch up. This one is going to be on the production aspect of the AutoPress. That auto open feature, the fact that I can prep my blanks to the side while the AutoPress is working. All of those features, how do I like them? Do I find them beneficial? And is it worth it for me? Remember, at the end of this entire series of AutoPress videos, I'll be talking about what I think about the AutoPress overall and whether or not it's worth the price. So let's dive in and make multiple projects, tons of different projects with the AutoPress and see what it can do. All of my designs are in Cricut Design Space and I will link to my Design Space project in the description below. If you want to make exactly the projects that I'm making, head there, then delete off any that you don't want to make. Once you have everything on your canvas you want to make, just click Make It. I am going to pick multiple ways since I will have infusible ink that will be on the mat. And for each of these mats, I want to choose whether it's on the mat or without the mat, as well as if I need to mirror it. For infusible ink and iron-on, I will need to mirror those and pick any that will be on the mat and choose that. Then I can close that, can see my mats, as well as how much of each material that I will need, and click Next. I can now pick my material type and go ahead and load my material. You will notice here that I'm using the Cricut roll holder as well as a long roll of red iron-on. And I'll go ahead and load the roll. The Cricut machine will measure how much iron-on I have. Make sure I have enough. Then you just click the go button to start the cut. Once it's done cutting, if you're using the roll holder, be sure to cut your material, then unload. Now you would cut the rest of your material, and then let's take a look at weeding. For each of these materials, you want to weed away all the excess. So whether that is like this infusible ink here or your iron-on, you want to weed everything away. You can use a weeding hook for your iron-on material. For infusible ink, I try to use my hands if at all possible. So I'm just going to continue and weed all of my pieces. Now I have an entire pile of things that are ready for pressing. So I'm going to go ahead and heat the AutoPress up to the temperature for my first project. So I'll probably start with shirts and work my way to the hottest project, which is going to be the infusible ink. Remember that the AutoPress can take up to 8 minutes to heat up, so you may want to start heating it up when you're almost done weeding, but not quite. That way it will have time to get to temperature. For the shirts, I'm setting the AutoPress to 315 degrees for 30 seconds. Once it's heated up, the light will turn green on the control pod. Then you're ready to press. First, you'll pre-press your shirts for about 5 seconds. You can close the AutoPress with as few as 2 fingers and lift up on the handle with those 2 fingers as well. The handle stays cool because the AutoPress has a motor that keeps the heat away from the handle. Once you pre-press that shirt, you'll just want to locate your design. I like to fold my designs in half to make sure that I get the center, then locate those appropriately. A good rule of thumb is not to press on the seams. So when I pre-press, I make sure that the collar is off of the AutoPress. Then I move the collar onto the pad that comes with the AutoPress, locate my design, and then move the collar back off. So that way I don't have any seams inside of the AutoPress to hold the heat above the iron-on. The AutoPress should rest directly on the iron-on if possible. Then we'll just close the AutoPress once again, press for 315 degrees for 30 seconds. And now we just want to repeat that for as many shirts as we have. What I love about the auto open feature of the AutoPress is that I can prep the iron-on off to the side while the press is operating without having to worry about holding it down like you do with the Easy Press or stopping and opening something like a traditional heat press. Here I'm trimming the iron-on and cutting it into pieces. Because I'm doing 2 iron-on colors on this shirt and pressing them at one time, I want to make sure that the carrier sheets are trimmed with a pair of scissors so they do not overlap when I press. Then I just continue to press each shirt in the same manner. When each shirt is done, I remove it from the AutoPress and set it to the side. I'll allow it to cool before peeling back that carrier sheet. I repeated all the heating steps for all of the shirts and then peeled them all at once. So once they were all cool, I just peeled back the carrier sheet of both of the iron-on colors on all of the shirts, and my shirts were complete. They were all perfect and looked amazing. Next up, we have some can koozies. So I'm adding some iron-on to each of these can koozies, and I thought, why not press them all at one time? I have this super large press, I might as well use the entire area. So I'm pressing 5 can koozies all at once. Again, I preheated them for a few seconds, opened the AutoPress back up, added my iron-on, and for these, once again, I used 315 degrees for 30 seconds. The AutoPress popped up, I set the can koozies to the side to cool, and moved on to my next project. I love that for multiple projects like these can koozies, I can press them all at once. Once they were cool, I peeled back the carrier sheet from each of the can koozies, and these are ready for a tailgate. Next up are some tote bags, and this is a layered iron-on design. I'm using 330 degrees for 30 seconds because I'm using glitter iron-on as my final layer. First, I want to preheat the tote. Now, these totes have seams, they have handles. I went ahead and put an Easy Press mat on the inside of my tote in order to raise that up a bit, and then tried to hang my handles off of the side so they would not interfere with my press. I pre-pressed for about 5 seconds, lifted the press, and then added my first layer. In order to locate all my layers correctly, I placed all the layers on the tote bag and then removed everything except that first layer. I pressed the first layer at 330 degrees for about 15 seconds, allowed it to cool just a few seconds, then peeled that carrier sheet back right on the AutoPress. I then added my second layer and pressed at 330 degrees for 15 seconds. This time the tote bag was super hot and there was no way that carrier sheet was coming off. The beauty of adding that Easy Press mat to the inside and having an extra Easy Press mat is that I could pull one tote off, allow it to cool, and add a second tote to the AutoPress, repeating the same procedure for the first 2 layers. Then I could remove that tote and add my third layer to the first tote that I pressed. I just peeled up the carrier sheet of that second layer enough to add the third layer, which overlaps the other 2 slightly. Then I put that carrier sheet back down so that all of my iron-on was covered and pressed at 330 degrees for the full 30 seconds. Once that press was done, I removed the entire tote from the AutoPress and set it aside to cool, repeating for that second tote. With multiple AutoPress mats or Easy Press mats, you can easily prep projects like this outside of the AutoPress and move them over to the AutoPress when you're ready. Then, once these totes are cool, I just peeled back the carrier sheet from all 3 layers, and these are ready to go. Now finally, I wanted to add an infusible ink project to this. So I prepped some coasters. First, you want to let roll your ceramic coaster, then you'll add your weeded infusible ink design to the glossy side of the coaster. Tape it down really well with some heat resistant tape, and then these are ready to add to the AutoPress. To add them to the AutoPress, I added a piece of white cardstock over my AutoPress mat. Then I put the coasters with the infusible ink side down, put a sheet of butcher paper over the top, then pressed at 400 degrees for 240 seconds. Now, as you can see, I was able to fit 8 coasters inside the AutoPress. Again, with the larger size of the AutoPress, it makes it super convenient when you're doing multiple small pieces, as you can put them all in the AutoPress at one time. Once the time was up, I was able to remove the coasters with some heat-resistant gloves. Now these will be extremely hot. You will want to let them cool for several minutes before even attempting to remove the infusible ink sheet. I let them cool about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I peeled back the infusible ink sheet from each one, and these coasters look stunning. My infusible ink sheets were watercolor designs, which to me makes the best looking coaster. I use these designs all the time. So now, within a few minutes with my AutoPress, I have tons of things for a fundraiser. So this is just one example of using your AutoPress for projects where you need multiples of something. The shirts were super easy to make multiple of them at one time. Like I said, I love the way the AutoPress automatically pops up. That allows me to prep that iron-on separately while the press is operating. Then on something like the can koozies or even the coasters, I loved the large surface and being able to press all of those at one time. So making multiple pieces with one press is something that is quick and easy. And then with something like the totes, where I was doing a layer design and I needed to let those cool between presses, I was able to use multiple mats in order to move them in and out of the AutoPress easily. You can use multiple easy press mats like I did, or you could use multiple AutoPress mats because you can purchase the mat separately. Either way, I would encourage you to have multiple mats so you can batch your projects the way that I did. So hopefully this helps and gives you a look inside how to make lots of things with the AutoPress all at one time. If you have any questions about anything we did today, please drop down in the comment section and ask away. If you liked this video, if it helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have further videos on the AutoPress exploring each of the features so that you know whether it's worth a purchase or not. Remember, the AutoPress will not be available until May 15th, 2022, so be sure to be on the lookout once it goes for sale. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.